Welcome to the Bliss Builders podcast, a podcast about mental health
and personal growth
with Kristina
and Sandra Diebel.
This is part 2 of our discussion about realities. Check out part 1, episode 13, for a better understanding. In part 1, we talked about 4 different perspectives on reality, which are 1. Solipsism, aka you are the soul creator theory. 2. New Age philosophy or co-creation theory. 3. Different timelines or multiverse theory. 4. Objective reality or materialism theory.
Yeah, and in a way, I think the only way to know which one might be true, so if the soul creator theory and the timeline theory, because they're kind of like similar in a way, and just different explanations for it, let's say, if they are true, the only way to figure that out is by trying it out, by literally focusing on controlling people that are, for example, not there. So could you, for example, because if they're here in your immediate environment, then you can influence them. But if they're all the way on the other side of the globe, for example, and you make them up to completely change their lives, have a different life, different hair color, and you make everything, all of that up in your head, and you focus on that, and you act as if that was true, and then to see if that actually would happen, because then you know. Because the likelihood of that person being influenced by you, although you don't talk to that person, although you don't have contact with that person, and anything of the sort, and that person suddenly, I don't know, walking around the way you imagined it, then you would know that you either jump to a timeline where that is the case and you see that expression of that person, and the person still has free will, and in infinite possibilities there was one where that person did exactly what you wanted, or you are the soul creator and you have complete control, which I think in a sense would make it very fun to play with creating people, in a sense, because then you can literally create people however you would enjoy them and experience a lot of joyful things.
But sorry, no. Because you find a reason and an explanation for everything you want if you want to. Like when it happens or when it turns out, you can say, it was me because I wanted it to be like that. Or you can say it was a coincidence. If it doesn't work out, you can say this reality doesn't exist and it doesn't work. Or you can say, I'm not aware enough, or I'm not conscious enough, or I didn't put in enough thought, work, whatever, that it turns out. So you can turn it either way. You can always turn it the way you want it.
Yeah, but for example, if you like, I mean, really scientifically proving it out for yourself, you can never, like, because if there's no olives, then there's no point in doing that anyway. But like something really unrealistic, something like someone who having no leg growing back a leg, like like making experiments with it to like see if you can manifest that, because like the current system, and then not giving up until that's the case, and believing that it might, like, and if until that's the case, then that's kind of not true. Then the other ones can still all be true, but you're obviously like, that one is not yet true, because you can only believe it when it actually happens.
Okay, and
or
also
it can make someone else grow like a third eye here, or like, go wild with your imagination.
okay, and tell me a case where something of those really weird things happen. I think that's very, very rare, or I haven't heard about it. Where if you think about, for example, some life changes, then if it's a people in your surrounding, like a relative or something, then you will probably be in contact with them. And even if you try to not influence, but if you think about it and manifest it, you might gonna influence them still, even if you don't want to do it, or even if you don't do it consciously, but
subconsciously
exactly. And then the actions that come out, or the words you say, or how you behave, and then they see, you are a little bit different, whatever, what can influence them. If it's no one in your inner circle, you probably never find out. So let's say you just manifest that someone in Norway will gonna quit their job and start to be a fisher in Alaska.
I mean, like, I think it's clear that you can justify all of them. The only thing you cannot justify is stuff that is literally unrealistic. That could only be justified if you're the sole creator or jumping timelines. Like someone growing an arm back, someone growing a leg back. Because that's the only thing, because everything else is justifiable. Because how would you justify that in your head if someone suddenly has a leg again that did not have a leg, and actually a real one, like a working one that's not like sewed back on or anything like that? Like literally they had no leg and suddenly they have a leg. Or someone literally growing an eye, a third eye here, or I don't know why I come to that, or someone, I don't know, getting a third arm. Like weird shit. I think that's the only thing how you, yeah, but like if you kind of actively as a sole creator manifested by your action, thoughts, beliefs, and so on, and you go there and that is actually happening, I think that's the only thing how you could control, like be sure of that, because everything else is too, would still work in any of the options.
Okay, bring me that case.
Why do I need to bring you that case?
To prove that.
But why would I need to prove it? I'm discussing all of them for fun.
Yeah, it's just when you bring that up as an example, that I could agree with that. I would like to see it.
Yeah, but you don't have to agree with that. I don't care.
I know. But this is part of the discussion.
It's a lot of effort imagining someone. First of all, you have to either pick someone or make someone up. But if you make someone up, then you could just meet someone who. But then, still, like you still need someone to pick, like who has no leg, and then suddenly they have a leg because you manifested it. But there's still a lot of effort involved because you have to spend a lot of focus on energy. Okay, so any of the listeners, but then again that could be a lie, so I don't know, like you have to try it out for yourself to like, but I'm not invested enough.
And that it sounds very, very, very unrealistic to me. And if this should be too considered, I would like to have an example about it. That's what I mean. That this makes it easier to even think about it.
But the thing is, would you believe it? Because technically, like in Sanskrit texts, and I don't know, there's YouTube videos of people literally doing that.
I have my
floating, and they call it superpowers, and they say that, like, even from a scientific perspective, you could just say that that is abilities we just did not know that humans had, and suddenly they have them. So then again, if you were confronted with that, would you then believe it, or would you just rationalize it again? So in a way, it probably doesn't make a difference.
That's what I mean. And maybe especially with video content, for example, is something that you hear, you can cheat a lot.
Yeah.
What's hard to have this as a proof. What also means you would have to get the proof through your own eye. What also is tricky because also your eyes can trick you a lot. And your mind can trick you a lot. So and even when you're tired, when you're haven't drunk enough and you're collapsing, when there are so many scenarios where you can't really trust yourself. What comes back to, okay, what can you really trust? What are the situations I can trust myself? Can I trust myself fully? Am I aware when I can trust myself or not? And
yeah, I just also had the realization that even if they grow their leg back or grow a third eye or whatever, like the weird shit that your mind comes up, still, even like it could be explained from all the all the options once again, because what I completely forgot is that science can also explain everything and then be like, yeah, it's just a radiation mutation. That's why that person suddenly grew a third eye. Or, yeah, that's due to this and that and the chemicals in your food. Or, yeah, that's because he accessed a different level of his brain capacity and now he can grow his leg back. Or now, due to this miraculous case that we cannot yet explain, which happens in science all the time, is like, oh, now we know that there's a new molecule. So no matter what it is, you can always explain it. So in a way, you can pick whatever the fuck you like because there's no difference. Because no matter if you timeline shift or it's objective reality, you can, like, from each of those different perspectives, you can always explain it by just being like, well, yes, this is just, I don't know, like if unicorns pop up or weird beings or something, then even then could science still be like, well, that's just literally alien and extraterrestrial life visiting us, that, or creatures that live on this planet that we did not know about. I mean, like, how many deep sea creatures are there that we still don't know about? So there's so much.
You can argue everything.
Yeah.
Like in a debate, for example, that whole debate is about it when you have this as a school practice or something like that. So you have two sides and you can always find arguments for both sides. 100%.
Yeah.
It's
I find it always funny when people, like, I think that's why I like debating so much, because I like people who are absolutely convinced that only their view is right. Because I was like, how do you do it? How do you do it that only yours is right and everything else is wrong? Because from my point of view, everything can be right and justified and everything can be wrong.
but
Like, everything has both. It can be good, it can be bad. It always depends on the viewpoint you look at it.
I think
And I can look at it from all points.
I think I can explain you how this evolves, as I reckon these people never ever got in touch with other opinions, or opinions, yes, maybe, but the skill to think differently or even open up to this could be anything is okay. I have more troubles than I expected to put it into words. The thing is, it makes so much sense in my head, but to speak it out is a different thing. If you always go the same fucking track, the same way to work, the same pathway, this pathway is gonna be deeper and deeper, and the little track turns into a pathway, the pathway turns into a street, the street turns into a highway, and then it's pretty hard to get out of this highway again.
Mhm.
Where when it was a track in the beginning, it would be easy. Like for kids, for example, they just soak everything that they have around them. So they can also soak different opinions, different viewpoints, etc. What I think is pretty good when they got in touch with, yeah, different ones. Where when everything you consume, everything that influences you goes into the same direction, and this for years, decades maybe, this is getting stronger and stronger and heavier. And then, of course, because you were more or less forced down this track so intensely, that suddenly, after, let's say, 30 years, 40, 50 years, someone is coming and saying, nah, I go that way. And I think, what the fuck? How? No, this is the only right way. We always did it like that. How often is it in history? We always did it like that. So this has to be right. Because you just always did it like that. And then it's the skill to open up after such a long time, after you dig that deep, that you say, fuck, maybe I dig for nothing, or maybe there is also another option.
Yeah.
And I think when you are into debating, for example, and defending this viewpoint, also already for a long time. If you then open up and if you then allow the other person, the other perspective to come into fruition or into your mind, you are kind of not true to yourself anymore, or you override yourself. You
override the self you identified with.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what I probably admire at those very stubborn people who have like one opinion and think everything is wrong. Because by them literally saying everyone else is wrong, I always wondered if they just have a shit ton of confidence and also just this like pushing other people's opinion completely away from them, not listening, like literally being like a wall where nothing gets through. And in a way I kind of admired that to a degree, because I think it probably like is a different form of strength, that they can just be like so tunnel vision focused on their own thing and everything else is wrong.
Yeah, of course, because when you dig that deep, you have a very, very strong foundation because you're already that deep. Think about a plant. If you just plant it and the roots are getting into the ground like this, yeah, you can still pull it out. If you dig 2 meters deep and you have a big fucking tree, you will never get this tree out.
Okay, I feel like I'm just growing my roots on the earth, neither up nor down, around the whole fucking globe.
Maybe.
And I'm more like a mycelium net of mushrooms.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they're like all connected around, like they don't really go deep, they don't really go up, they just
spread.
Yeah, because like I don't really, I'm not really convinced of anything, like or not like I'm really not convinced of many things. I think there's things like, for example, that actions, thoughts, beliefs, and emotions are important, and that's like how we create our reality. That I think is probably the only thing true, and that for me the most important thing is to basically live a happy life, because everything else in like what happens technically doesn't matter if I'm happy. But I've also struggled with that, because I had a friend who was like, well, if everything that matters to you is happiness, then why don't you take drugs on a consistent basis that you get from, like, for example, antidepressants and all those kind of stuff, and just take a little, like, let the doctor dose it a little bit too high so you're on the constant high, and then just do that for the rest of your life. And I think the reason why I didn't want to do that is dependence, because, and also farm industry. But technically, he's not wrong. If like that's the only thing, like who the fuck cares? And just do everything, like. And then I was questioning that once again.
And here would also come back to what you've told me once, is the theory. The theory.
No. The theory.
Theory. That you can always choose to be happy, and I can remember that you were following that for a bit, and was saying even when you feel sad, when you feel depressed, whatever, you can consciously choose to be happy.
Yes.
And be in this happy state.
The problem is you need to be aware, and this awareness thing seems to be like a fuck up, because the problem is you're not always aware.
And I would push it further to not only awareness that you have the possibility to choose, because this was what you've told me at this point. What would be easy if you just, for example, set a reminder on your phone or whatever that reminds you every day of choose happiness consciously. That would be easy. You can find ways to remind yourself, even that are flexible enough that you don't ignore it after a while. So this would be possible. But on the other hand, being able to really do it is something else. And I also can remember when you had I couldn't remember what was it about, but it was not too long ago when you also had a sad face. And before I had mine, more or less, and you tried
change. This is a whole sort of change.
um, and you try to remind me about practicing gratitude to get you out of this depression feeling. But yeah, well, it's nice, but at the moment I'm so far away that even doesn't work. And I remember the next time you were in your low phase, you told me the same. As you were saying, I experienced it myself that I was just too far away. I couldn't bring up the feeling, even if you do the exercise, even if you do the practice, but the feeling doesn't come up, and it's not the same as when you are closer to the happiness state. So more or less with the emotional guidance scale, what we've already seen, or it's also when you try to help people when you're too far away,
you can't really.
You can't reach them.
Yeah.
So when you are too far away of happiness, you can't reach it. Here, I can grab you. I can influence you. When I'm sitting over here, help. It's hard. It's still possible. I can, but I
If you're in the
have
other
to.
room, it's got to be difficult.
Exactly. Then there is no chance anymore. So it depends how big is the distance.
Yep. I think what I've learned in the meantime that there's steps to get back in the distance.
Yeah.
And I've learned in the meantime, or basically I've had a reminder in the meantime that I have forgotten once again, because I don't know why you tend to like why it feels like important stuff is forgotten, and then stuff like how bugs populate is remembered.
After 20 years.
Yeah, I don't know, it makes no sense. But either way, so what it was is basically that all suffering we experience as human is usually in the form of resistance, because we're resisting.
Yeah.
We're just simply
Ooh, I like that.
like the reason why we can't go back up to gratitude is because we're resisting feeling the emotion that we're actually feeling. We're trying to suppress it, and we're trying to reach for gratitude or for a happier feeling because we don't want to feel the fear, because we don't want to feel bad, because we don't want to feel sad or upset or angry or whatever it is. We're like, nah, I'm done with that. I want to go back to happiness. And we're resisting. And because we're resisting, we don't go up the emotional scale. We don't go back to, we can't make it back to gratitude because we're resisting fully feeling that emotion. And I think that's the same thing with other things. The only reason, for example, like why anything doesn't work out is because we are resisting certain steps that are necessary to, like, certain actions, certain steps, no matter what kind of philosophy you have.
Yeah.
That would be necessary to reach, manifest, materialize, timeline shift the right goal. Because, for example, if you're timeline shifting, you cannot timeline shift like you want, let's say, a different reality where you're a completely different person, but you cannot timeline shift to that reality if you stay the same person, because the same person would not exist on that timeline, because you would have to be different to actually be able to shift to that timeline. If you're the sole creator, then, well, you have to start with yourself because there is no one else. So you have to change yourself to actually get a result. If you are like co-creating, or if it's like the objective reality, you also have to change yourself, because in the end, like, no one will do it for you. In, like, in a sense, you have to give up the resistance. So you, for example, objective reality, you want to lose weight, and if you don't change certain behaviors and your thoughts around it and so on and so forth, then you cannot get it.
Oh my god, I find it so funny that you give yourself the answer to the the long ass question.
What do you mean? What did I miss?
I have the feeling that you resist.
Probably. Tell me.
To reach your life goal, where you were saying over and over to me again that you want to have the passive income, and that you want to receive money effortless, and that you can actually, or what leads actually to the fact that you have enough money that you can do what you want without having to fear anything. What would bring up, especially with the explanation you just gave, where I can totally agree with, the resistance to work or make a plan how to reach it yourself with actions from yourself, because maybe focusing that much on the passive side and the manifestation that it more or less have to come to you out of nothing.
But it has in the past. So that's why I kind of believe that, because I have had random people just show up and give me money. And I'm kind of like, well, if I have manifested that before, why can't I do it again? Because
And
maybe
is
I
it
could've-
consistent?
No, but are my thoughts consistent? Are the amounts I choose that I want consistent? No. Like, I don't know. Yesterday I switched 3 times between, I want 10 grand a month. No, you know what? If I can have 10 grand, why not have 20 grand? Oh no, how about 3 million? I don't even fucking know what I want. So how the fuck should, like, unless it gets to the point where I have instant manifestation, my thoughts just change so fucking often. And then there's times where I'm like, technically I just need enough money that every time I spend money I get the same money amount back, or basically it's just a constant flow of money, because then it doesn't matter, I don't have to think about money at all. I know that if I spend it I get the same amount back, so like I'm always kind of on zero, but also always money is there. I change my mind all the fucking time. The only thing that is actually consistent is probably my work, because I've written a book, I'm doing this podcast with you. I'm working I'm working other jobs, I'm investing, and I'm doing technically all the action steps that I don't want to do because I just want to chill. But I cannot fucking make my mind up about what I actually want. So I'm just doing things in the meantime and kind of going with the flow. I think that's also another dilemma why I'm kind of contemplating all of that, because I cannot really decide. I think the only thing that I know is that I want to feel good. I think that's pretty much it, because everything I want is technically to feel good. So I think that's the only thing I know. I want to feel good.
But wouldn't it come down to clarify what makes you feel good the most and what?
No, because it changes all the fucking time. It changes all the time. Receiving money can make me feel really good. Receiving money can also make me feel bad, because it's always up to my perception. It has nothing to do with what's actually happening.
Leave the external. Look at yourself, like your actions or what things you enjoy to do, like composing, writing, those kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I think
it always
this
changes if I like it or not. That's the thing. There's nothing consistent with any of it, because because my thoughts change. I can look at something, for example, I can edit videos with the biggest joy, and I can edit videos and absolutely hate the shit out of it and want to throw my phone away or my laptop away, because it is that different. Because it depends, like, the only thing that it actually depends on, and I think the only thing that I kind of start to like control is my thoughts, but my thoughts don't know what they want. So I think the only thing I do know at this point that I want is I want to feel good. So I think that's pretty much what I'm going to focus on, that I'm just going to make myself feel good. And that does not matter what I believe in, it does not matter what I do, because it's all pretty much irrelevant, because the only thing I know that I want, and everything else is fluctuating all the time. Nothing stays the same. The only thing that stays the same is that I want to feel good. That's the only thing. Because people don't matter, circumstances don't matter. Because why do we want all things? We all want everything that exists only to feel good. That's it. To me, at least. And everything else is changing. Because, I mean, I don't know how that was. Like, I think that's the reason. I don't know how 10 grand would make me feel. I don't know how No money would make me feel. I have assumptions about it, of course, but I don't know. Therefore, I don't know what I want, because I want to be happy, but I don't know how much money I would technically need to be happy in the future, that I imagine if I can be happy in the now by doing random shit.
That's the thing. Isn't there any underlying principle maybe that kind of can cause your positive thoughts would then cause your happiness?
Well, I can control my thoughts, and I can, but I think that's another point, because I've literally noticed that I can lay in a room and do absolutely nothing and then be absolutely euphoric, which is technically what I want. I want to be happy, I want to be euphoric, I want to be excited, and I've noticed that I can do all of that if I'm by myself, and I'm getting better and better at doing that while other people are around me. But I think probably that's what it comes down to, because everything else literally doesn't matter.
When you are in this euphoric state and you
Yes.
are happy and you are, let's say, in your room, lying there by yourself, isn't there any desire in you what you want to do within this mode, within this excitement
Yes,
mode?
I'm imagining things.
And there is no desire of actually doing those things.
No. There might be a desire for a short time, but that desire to actually do those things usually comes from this, well, I'm existing, so I probably should do something. But technically, I mean, if I'm really honest, I could probably just live in my head. For me, I think it's more a practice of learning to be happy in life and participating, and not just be only in my imagination where I'm happy and excited, and to kind of create that around me in some way or form.
That's impressive.
Because I really like my thoughts, I really like my insights, I like me. I like me, yeah, very much. And I mean, I entertain myself, I make myself laugh, I make myself feel pleasure, joy, love, everything I want to feel. But the outside world, so far, but that's also due to my beliefs. So far, I've discussed that with my sister. So far, my beliefs about the outside world is that I have absolutely no control about that. So therefore, of course, it makes sense that I'm happier in my room, where I have complete control over
What would
everything.
be against a few of those theories?
Exactly. But that's the thing, because technically I could now just choose that. I don't know. I think I would choose the timeline one, because the timeline one still gives everyone free will, and I can still experience everything I want, like in my imagination. So that means I can literally just shift myself to timelines where things are going more to my preferation, where people just randomly hand me money, where I literally meet a shit ton of people that I can just say, you do that for me, for the big vision of my creation. So,
but then you're back to action again. If you are out there directing people or receiving money,
people actually that much action?
It is action, because no action would be literally you sitting, laying in a room, doing absolutely fucking nothing, then thinking.
Okay, let's imagine I lay in my room and people come to me and I direct them from my bed and they create for me, and then they make all of it. or actually isn't that in a funny way what's happening? Because
what's actually happened yesterday, more or less.
what's happening, because I mean, even when I'm in my most lowest mood state, I'm either laying in my bed, or I'm laying on the couch outside, or I'm laying here. No matter where I am, I'm taken care of, and people come to me. You come to me. You came to me when I was just chilling at the hostel as well, so I was actively not doing much. I was just sitting there. Same thing. Yesterday, I was sitting on the couch, on the couch outside on the back porch, and people from outside came into my garden and just started chatting to me,
talk to you.
and talk to me, and then also they were up to kind of possibly fulfill one of my weird ideas that I have.
And
It didn't
you
work,
tried,
but they were definitely open to that. I think that's the most action I've probably done in a while, except for maybe working. But like, so in a way, if that is all the action I need, like minimal effort. I like minimal effort. I like when it's easy, when I can still use my creativity in the stuff that I enjoy, and it's
and that's what I try to trigger, the stuff that you enjoy. You were telling you like to play the piano or get better at that, or do some art or something creative, would also would mean some action.
yeah, but that has changed again.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no, I think the only basis that I have is I want to feel good, and I think I will just leave it on that and just go with whatever feels good. It's not really predictable, and like stuff changes, but it's also exciting because if you want to if you, like the main thing you want just like feel good or feel excitement, and you basically, because you can, just act on excitement or on good feeling thoughts, feelings, actions, beliefs. Like if you do that moment by moment, then your whole life is excited and fun.
If you are fine with that and can live with that, yes. What makes it, of course, harder to, if you, okay, no, it just takes away the want to create a career, or thing is also with a family,
Why not?
a living situation, because
what
it makes it trickier, because you have to find a partner that is more or less on the same page with that.
Yeah, that's true. But like, since that would consider effort again, that would go against the rules. So as you have seen yesterday, they come to me. I don't have to actually do anything for it. They come to me. So, so I mean, you attract what you are, possibly. I don't know, but it seems like it. So in a way, if I'm just happy doing what I want, I don't know, everything I need just comes to me, because I might actually make it easier too, because since I'm not doing anything that's not easy, it's all gonna be easy. So it's
Well, we probably have to tell our listeners that we are living next to a pub, and our backyard is literally direct next to the pub backyard, what brings the people more or less to us, and they are also sometimes walking through our backyard. What is probably a difference than if you would be somewhere on the countryside where you don't have a neighbor at all, or yeah, you're sitting in your roam literally by yourself in a house yourself, because then you really have no chance that someone can
that's not
walk
true.
by.
That's not true. I have lived in an apartment. I had no backyard. I have lived in an apartment. So, of course, there's more people. Neighbors came knocking to my door. People from the street just randomly rang my doorbell because they could see me through the window and asked me for a drink. No, no joking. No joking. No joking. Then there's door salesy people who knock on your door. Then there is things like people checking if your fire alarm system is still there's people coming. You're not really isolated as you think you are. And if you're open to it, there's more people coming. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, you literally don't technically have to move when there's still people coming. Possibly more than you would like.
Think about this beginning of a love story. How did you meet your partner? Just over a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah,
And the door is
yeah, it does not matter. Like, I've done door-to-door sales, and I had colleagues who literally dated people that they knocked at the door of. So, so it happened for sure. It like
you come in.
in a weird way, to me, all it shows is that you don't have to it's like believing that you have to go outside to meet people is a limiting belief. You don't have to. You can attract them.
Okay, I waved the white flag. I don't have anything to say anymore. I wouldn't say this is standard. I wouldn't say the chances are the same as if you do. So it's nothing I would.
But that's your belief system.
Believe.
So your life will act according to your belief system.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's the conclusion of all of that. So we have different belief systems and our life functions to them accordingly. But I still very much enjoy those conversations because they amuse me so much, because I don't give a shit if either of them is wrong or right, or I don't know. I still think that, like, once when we die, we might know more. Maybe not, but maybe we do know more after we are dead, or maybe not. Maybe we find out that's it, but that we don't find out because we're dead then. So I don't know. I think it's gonna, like, if it continues, because that's the only way how we could know at the end. It would be hilarious to look back if like if you then know what's actually the case. I think, but then that would literally prove just all the other ones, because objective reality ends with dying, and it just would prove the other ones. So, in a sad sense, well, but then there's still the other ones open, so you still have like a lot to fantasize, and then you still have a lot of amusement that you can experience from the other side, being like, how funny is that? Like, just imagine, like, I don't know, God, higher selves, I don't know, a version of us that is created this whole thing that exists simultaneously, looking down and laughing about how the little two munchkin it's created, that are both itself, are like playing with each other and discussing which could be real. I just find that very funny.
Also, number 2, the co-creating one, what means that every person builds up their own reality, right?
Kind of, yeah.
And I build mine, you build yours. When I think about it, it's actually pretty close to the objective reality, more or less, because it is like that, or the objective reality is like that, because we have the perception, because we have all our own thoughts, and like this example showed, our both mindset, our both belief systems, how you want to see it. So this would be then mine reality and your reality.
I think the difference between co-creation and objective reality, from the examples I had, was that in objective reality you cannot create your reality, while in co-creative reality you can create your reality and others create their reality as well. And when your realities align, you meet. Otherwise, you don't.
What
In a
I
sense,
find,
it still works with the other one, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because let's say you follow your passion and you're gonna be an artist, so you're gonna be around art shops, you might gonna go to galleries, etc., and all that stuff. So you're gonna find like-minded people when you are at a gallery or when you're at the art shop. What is more or less these two realities, these two lives meeting,
maybe,
where I create my reality by getting conscious about what I really want, what my desires are, and focusing my life towards it, probably.
I mean, we're all kind of doing it. You are doing it based on the things and the lifestyle you want to have. I'm doing it based on the feeling I want to have. Yours is, in that sense, maybe possibly a bit more stable, maybe a little bit more clear, because it's very much on the outside, while mine is pretty on the inside and probably looks a lot more chaotic from the outside. On the other hand, I find chaotic also very interesting, because if I think about all the different things I've done in my life because I wanted to, well, I did it due to emotions and not due to career driven goals or making appearances or anything of that sort. I've done so many different things, and if I look back, it's kind of like I feel like I've tried and done everything, and I think that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the feeling you have hand luggage where you can pack your stuff up, like your thoughts, very quickly and move from one thing to another, from one place to another.
Mhm.
And I have my container of stuff where it
As within, so without.
exactly that's I'm trying to find an analogy about it, where I have a lot of stuff that maybe look stable when you build it up, but it also takes more time to pack up and to move. So to make a change is way much more a challenge because you have more things to kind of detach and then build up again. As you with your hand luggage, what are your thoughts? Because you have all your happiness and all you need more or less in this little hand luggage.
I think it's kind of funny because it's like literally like reflected in reality, because
Yeah.
I do have smaller luggage, and all that, like most of the things I actually own, no matter if it's like they're in a digital format on a cloud. So there's, because most of it is like mental. So for example, several books, but they're all digitally on different devices in different clouds in different systems, so I can access them for wherever I am, and I literally just need like this much of like a bag of devices, and then the rest is the most essential things I need. Everything else is you can get and like lend and borrow and give away and receive again. While you, on the other hand, literally have a lot more luggage.
Then I literally have a container in the forest back in Austria with a lot of
you
stuff.
do have a van, and you do like so it's kind of funny because it makes it, and you have moved less than I have.
Yeah, and it's also harder for me to move. I still try to figure out what I do with the stuff in the container. It's in the forest because somehow it's hard for me to detach.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I've made now, a decision that would need me to get rid of it or do something with it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's much more an issue or a challenge to really make the decision to make a change and to, for example, move to another country, to make this big, in my head, big decisions where you're way more flexible with it. And that's something I really appreciate about you, that you go with the flow that easy and you're so flexible about it.
Yeah, but I also like both of it has good sides and positive sides. Your positive sides are, for example, stability, while mine is pretty much as stable as water is, which is like constantly changing. It has stability, but the only stability it has is that it's constantly changing. So, and with like, and your benefit is that you can stick to something for a very, very long time, partially because it's hard to move, but partially also because you want to. While for me, it's very easy to get into a topic, a thing, something. It's very easy to start it, to get good at it, to get into it. And then it's and just as easy to abandon it and be like, someone else do it, goodbye. It's like I get really good at so many things, and then people tell me, oh yeah, you should do that professionally. Like, oh, should I? Okay, I will abandon it. Goodbye.
See ya.
I will do the next thing. Um, possibly because then it's I think what bores me is maintenance. And if you as good like if you get to the point where you're good enough that you can do it professionally,
Build up and then you
yeah,
stay steady.
yes, and then it's maintenance. And maintenance is fucking boring because you're like, once you've figured the system out, then it's staying the same.
You need the change, you need the novelty.
Yeah, I do. And I think that's why this is so far working, because there's still so many things to figure out. So I think the like yeah, I might abandon it once we figured out, like once we have a stable income from it, and once like all the little kinks are worked out, and then when all the little kinks are worked out, then it might get too boring, and then I might start something else.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Yeah, but then it's already up and running.
Then we're gonna get another host.
And the good thing is, no, because conversations are always new. Novelty is always there. So I will always converse with you. I just might only come for the conversing, and everything else will be done by other people. Which is actually the dream to a degree, like, because everything else is just everything maintenance. I like building things up and then giving the maintenance, the boring part, the stable part to people. Technically, people like you who actually do maintenance stuff.
Nah, stop. That's not true. I fucking hate maintenance as well.
Okay, but you seem like you're good at it.
Only because I'm good at it doesn't mean that I enjoy it.
Okay, so I have to find someone who's like you but enjoys it.
I have a friend actually who is like that. That's the only person I know that enjoys doing household. I've never heard that before. I mean, yeah, okay, I can get to a point where it doesn't bother me, like bringing things into order. Yes, I fucking hate cleaning still, but like sorting things out is fine. I nearly don't do it. This is why it looks like it.
I think it looks fine.
But
we just
this
put
friend
this on the wine.
that is it for 2 days. Don't listen. No, but literally, she really enjoys doing house, and I'm thinking, how? No, it's nothing necessary. It's something necessary, right? Well, for example, this is the reason why I try to shift my work, my profession, into something I really enjoy and that has some flexibility and some novelty every time, more or less, because I also don't like being steady with things. So being at the Fließband,
Velcro belt.
construction, no, production belt.
Yeah, production
belt, something like this. Or packing, when you have the same movement the whole fucking time. If I imagine this for a whole day, 8 hours, and this 5 times a week, and 5 times a week, and every day is the same, this drives me crazy. And this is something I, for example, figured out during my travels, because I was working 40, 50 hours in my marketing job. So I always had a full-time job. It never came to my mind to do less, until I've seen a few colleagues where I first thought, when they were doing 30 hours or 25, and I thought, how? No, you're young. Of course you have to do full-time, and you don't have that much money then. And they were telling me, yes, that's right, but I don't need that much, but my time is more worth than any physical thing. And nah, that can't be right. And in the end, I was sitting there until the evening doing my shit and having to be available for the clients more or less the whole day and evening, where they had off at 3 o'clock. And had their afternoon for themselves and doing nice things in summer, and being at the river where I had to be in the office, and I was thinking, I also want to go. Okay, but I'm drifting away. So what I figured out during my travels is that I literally enjoy to break up my week and even my day. So I have absolutely no problem with working 40 hours a week, even more. You know me, I'm more the extra person for days, but not the same. So, for example, today in the morning, we were at the community garden, and I've planted 50, 60, 70 tomato plants. We're gonna have a lot of tomatoes soon. Okay.
I'm kind of like, I've done one thing today. This is enough.
Yeah, and now we're doing the podcast, and
Which is actually true. I'm already on 2 things.
Exactly. And after this, I will continue with something else. And that's what I've learned. This brings me the energy back and the joy when I can break it up and do a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. So, for example, if I would have been back to normal job, I would have gone with not 40 hours in one, but for example, 2020 or something like this. I mean, now it changed anyway a little bit. But yeah, I really like to mix it up.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to check if my phone is actually still
That
on.
I was thinking about to say.
Because I don't know if it can film that long. Okay, it filmed that long.
Yeah,
Nice.
nice.
But I'm not sure if I can even. Yeah. I think I will cut it in two anyway.
Yeah.
And I think I will leave that in for our viewers that you know that we have talked for 2 hours, technically 3 because we had
the other one before.
we recorded last week's episode before this. So I don't know, is it a weird ending now?
It is a weird ending a little bit, but especially after you got up.
But you know what? We can leave it an open ending. So there is no real clues, but that's philosophical discussions. There like never really is because we don't know.
And actually, you already draw the conclusion. What was when we found out that it more or less comes down to awareness and controlling your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, isn't it?
Yes, and we also kind of figured out that at the end, you create your life based on what brings you joy, and I create my life based from joy. As good as we can.
And I would say this is the recipe for everyone's blissful life. And the tricky thing about it is to figure out how. What brings you joy?
Or to figure out, I know what brings me joy, but how can I overcome what other people want from me? And how can you, because I know technically what I would like doing, which we figured out is a lot laying around and then doing whatever comes to mind whenever. But a lot of the times there's other people involved.
Social pressure.
Exactly. So there's other people around you that you kind of have to navigate. So you kind of have to figure out which of that is true. So you can maybe manifest them away or manifest them in a different way. So it's more in alignment. And for you, it's more the other way around. You kind of, I think that's why we like each other so much, because you have the outside figured out and I have the inside figured out. And it's like the opposite. So we're opposites in different areas.
Well,
to a degree.
My insight helped me to figure out where I want to go in the outside.
Yeah, because it's always, I mean, like in a way it's always from inside and outside, but I think we are different in general, like in different areas. Yeah, for example, like I can get stuff started because I kind of seduced you to do something with me, although you probably see that you seduced me to do something, and I think you wanted to do something completely different than this.
What do you mean? This episode or the podcast? Or
I think the podcast.
Not different, but like also other components what we now already talked about, and I just let it be and go with whatever comes, and we again have interesting people in our backyard. Yeah, and as I'm gonna focus on my own coaching anyway, this now gives me the possibility to practice this in my own coaching sessions and promotions around it, where not everything has to be around through the bliss builders.
Same.
But this also encouraged me to do the other part and maybe try out, and I think we're gonna find pretty nice ways to combine all of that. Mm-hmm. So you have
I have my
Your-
own stuff, my book, and my other things, and you have
Exactly.
your own stuff, and then we bring it together in the police business.
Yeah, and in our workshops, and I'm pretty sure that our workshops will be pretty awesome and can benefit then both individual businesses.
Okay. Still a weird ending. Follow your joy. Do whatever makes you happy. Do things if you're like from happiness or for happiness. I don't know. Do whatever you want. And I would like to end the episode with gratitude before we jump on to more topics.
Yes, do that. Can I throw one last thought in before that?
Okay. Jump! Do it!
In case you would like to have some support to find your own way of joy or to figure out what brings you joy and how to be okay with that, be okay with yourself and your self-love and detach from other opinions, we are here for you with thank you.
I'm not sure if I'm here for it yet. She will definitely coach you. I might just make courses that you can do by yourself.
Yeah, but it's also that you are there for them in your own way.
Yes, because I want to lay on my bed.
Okay, all her workshops will be recorded on her bed, so you will see her bedroom, your environment.
No, that's a joke. It might be different. It might be different. I might actually like I don't know. I have different phases, so who knows? Who knows? We will see.
Okay, let it be.
Let yourself be surprised. But with her, you definitely know that you're gonna get a coaching program. With me, right now, currently, you can buy my book When the Bookshelves Mock You through the link in my bio or Amazon. That's what you can get already. So always go with what's already there.
All right.
Okay.
I'm grateful for your honesty.
I'm grateful for the fun and the joy I'm experiencing by being myself. And showing all the different facets of us for you. I really enjoy this. Because we go from being very serious and being very structured and being very professional to being very much different.
Go with the flow. Go with the flow.
I did not understand a word.
Go with the flow.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, I agree with that. Okay.
Well, homework for you guys. Gratitude homework. Maybe you can think about something that you're grateful for that brings you joy and that enlightens your daily life.
And rate us 5 stars if you enjoyed this episode. Follow and subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, and become part of our Patreon bliss building communities where you will get amazing papers that my lovely co-host Sandra makes or starts a lot of the time. I sometimes produce the content because that's something I can do in my mind on my bed. And it does not involve, I don't know, it's also an action. It's just a different form of action probably. But yes, we co-create beautiful papers that kind of summarize our very long talks and
bring it on a point.
Sometimes.
Now the papers do.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
And
you have kind of a cheat sheet you can download. You can even print out if you want, and you have it structured so you have all the information that we provide you in more or less 1 hour episodes on point on one paper.
Yeah, like good reminders, I would say. Yep, I agree. Either way.
Okay, we are talking too long.
Thanks for listening. Have a beautiful evening. And let us know what you think about reality. let us have some more discussions, or at least discuss it with me in the comments, and in on the different platforms. I
That's
would
gonna
really enjoy
be
that.
Kristina's your departure of joy, the group discussions.
Yeah. Not sure if it's group sessions or if like more one-on-one.
Depending how many gonna
Because
interact.
I mean, I don't want to start another topic. Thanks guys for listening.
Goodbye.